Have you ever wondered why? The moment you decide to fully follow God, life suddenly feels like a battlefield? Why people who once cheered for you now whisper behind your back? Why doors that should have swung wide open seem to slam shut in your face? It's not random. It's not bad luck. It's a sign. When the hand of God is on you, when His anointing rests heavily upon your life, you will attract attacks you never asked for. You'll face resistance that makes no sense. You'll encounter opposition that feels far bigger than you. Some of you have been crying out, asking, "Lord, why? Why am I under such relentless pressure when all I've done is try to obey you?" Here's the truth. You are dangerously anointed. The moment you step into your divine calling, when you say, yes, to God with your whole heart, the enemy takes notice. Before, you were just another person living life. Now, you are a threat, a walking testimony of God's power. And make no mistake, the enemy doesn't waste time on people going nowhere. He attacks those marked by God for something great. Look at Joseph. His own brothers, his blood, threw him into a pit. Not strangers, not enemies, family. Why? Because he had a dream. Because God showed him something greater. Because the favor on his life made others uncomfortable. And favor will always attract jealousy. Some of you are trying to understand why the very people you've loved, helped, and prayed for have turned against you. It's not about you, it's about what you carry. David was anointed in private. But the moment he defeated Goliath, Saul, the man who should have mentored him, became his greatest enemy. Not because David did wrong, but because the anointing on his life exposed the insecurity in Saul's heart. The anointing doesn't just empower, it exposes. It reveals who's truly for you and who's secretly against you. Sometimes, you didn't lose friends, you gained clarity. That rejection? It was God's protection, because not everyone can handle the weight of your calling. When you're anointed, you must get comfortable with being misunderstood. People will question your motives even when you're simply obeying God. Remember, Jesus was perfect. Yet they called him a liar, a blasphemer, a threat. If they hated him, why would you expect them to love you? If they tried to destroy him, why be surprised when they come after you? The anointing brings blessings, but it also brings battles. It opens doors, but it also attracts opposition. Yet here's what I need you to understand. If God called you, no man can cancel you. If God anointed you, no demon in hell can stop you. So yes, you're asking, why me? Why this constant attack? It's not because you're weak, it's because you're dangerous. The enemy knows that if you ever step fully into what God has for you, hell will lose ground every time you open your mouth. Chains will break every time you walk into a room. That's why you're feeling the pressure. It's proof of the power you carry. The enemy isn't after your past, he's after your future. The attack isn't your ending, it's your confirmation. What the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for good. Joseph's pit became his stepping stone to the palace. The cross meant to silence Jesus became the instrument of salvation. So stand tall, wipe your tears, square your shoulders. You are not just anointed, you are dangerously anointed. The very weight you're carrying is worth the fight. Because when you walk under this unusual grace, you'll find doors opening you never knocked on, people helping you for reasons they can't explain, and opportunities chasing you down. This isn't coincidence, it's not luck, it's the anointing. And when you are dangerously anointed, God will accelerate you beyond what makes sense, placing you in rooms you never qualified for. Opening paths no man can close. Favor isn't fair, but it's yours. Earlier, we talked about how the anointing not only brings blessings but also battles. Now, let's go deeper, because when God's hand is truly on your life, you'll find Him opening doors that others tried desperately to slam in your face. When God decides to promote you, there is no force in hell, no demon, no scheme, no slander, that can stop it. Some people won't like it. Some will try to discredit it. They'll look at you and whisper, "Why them? Why now? Who do they think they are?" But what they fail to understand is this: you didn't ask for this. You didn't manipulate your way into this position. You didn't push the door open by human effort. God Himself did it. And when God opens a door, no man can shut it. Think about David. He was just a shepherd boy, forgotten in the fields. He wasn't campaigning for the throne. handing out flyers, or trying to prove himself worthy. Yet, when the time came, Samuel showed up with the oil. The anointing found him exactly where he was. Some of you are exhausting yourselves trying to force things to happen, striving, begging, manipulating. But the truth is, all you need to do is be faithful where you are. When it's your time, the opportunity will come looking for you. You won't have to chase it, it will find you. And when it does, everything will move quickly. People will be left wondering, how did they go from the field to the palace so fast? From overlooked to overbooked? From the back to the front in what felt like a blink of an eye. That's called divine acceleration. God doesn't operate on human timelines. What should take years can happen in days when He says, it's time. That's why you can't waste precious moments explaining yourself to those determined not to understand. You don't have time to slow down for people who are too busy being offended by your favor. You don't have time to feel guilty about the blessings God has placed in your hands. This is not the season to shrink back. This is the season to step forward. Hear me. You do not need to apologize for what God is doing in your life. You don't have to play small to make others comfortable. You don't have to hide your blessings so no one feels insecure around you. Walk in it, own it, give God the glory for it. Because when you're anointed, you're not just another person trying to make things happen. You are a vessel carrying something supernatural. I know some of you have been hesitant to step fully into this season. You don't want to lose people. You don't want to be misunderstood. You don't want to deal with the jealousy, the whispers, the side comments. But remember this, favor always comes with friction. The same people who once supported you may suddenly have a problem with you. They were fine when you were on their level. But the moment God elevates you, their true feelings surface, and you have to decide, will you stay small so others feel comfortable? Or will you boldly walk in what God has called you to? The truth is, God's favor is too powerful to be hidden. You can try to downplay it, but it will still show. Look at Joseph. His brothers threw him into a pit, but favor pulled him out. Potiphar's wife lied on him, but favor positioned him even in prison. He was forgotten by men, but remembered by God, who brought him straight to the palace. That's what happens when you're dangerously anointed. What should have buried you will bless you. What should have destroyed you will develop you. What the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for your good. So don't fear this season. Don't second guess what God is doing. Stop questioning if you deserve it. It was never about deserving. It was about God choosing you. Walk in the favor. Move with the acceleration. Stop seeking permission from people who were never assigned to your destiny. What God is doing in your life is far bigger than their opinions. This is your moment. This is your season. Nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop what God has already set in motion. There comes a point in your life when something shifts deep inside you. It's not just a passing thought or fleeting emotion, it's a burden. A weight on your spirit that refuses to let go. You try to ignore it, but it lingers. It wakes you up at night. It won't let you settle. And you realize, this isn't just passion. This is a divine assignment. When God anoints you, He doesn't just hand you a title, He gives you a burden. A burden for souls. A burden for righteousness. A burden to see lives changed, hearts transformed, and chains broken. And when you carry this kind of weight, you can't live like everyone else. You can't just go through the motions. You can't be comfortable with compromise. You can't turn a blind eye to what God has opened your eyes to see. When you're dangerously anointed, you start to feel what God feels. You're grieved by what grieves Him. The things that once entertained you now disturb you. The things you once tolerated, you can no longer stand. The Spirit of God begins to shift your appetite and desires. And suddenly the things of this world lose their grip on you. Some of you have been feeling out of place lately, disconnected. Like you no longer fit in where you used to. You once enjoyed the same conversations, the same environments, but now something feels different. That's because God is setting you apart. He's calling you deeper. He's awakening something in you that can't be satisfied with surface-level living. You don't just want church as usual, you crave His presence. You don't just want a good service, you want real transformation. You don't just want inspiration, you want impartation. Why? Because you are carrying something greater. And yes, it feels heavy. but it's holy. Earlier, we saw how God sets you apart, awakens something deeper in you, and places a divine burden on your life. Now, let's talk about what happens when you begin to actually carry that weight. Because when you're dangerously anointed, you don't just see people, you feel them. You walk into a room and instantly sense the heaviness in the air. You can see the brokenness hiding behind their smiles. You hear what they say, but you also feel what they're not saying. And sometimes, that weight is overwhelming. You wonder, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? But hear me, God didn't give you that burden to break you. He gave it to you so you would intercede with power, so you would pray with authority, so you would speak truth in moments when others stay silent. When you carry this kind of calling, you can't afford to be passive. You can't just sit back while people around you are perishing. There's too much at stake. You are not here simply to survive or get by. You were placed on this earth for such a time as this. You carry answers. You carry the fire of God. You carry the power to shift atmospheres. And the enemy knows it. That's why he tries so hard to distract you, discourage you, and weigh you down with fear and doubt. Because he knows, if you ever fully step into what God has called you to, hell will lose ground. That's why this is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to quiet down. This is the time to rise up, boldly, unashamed, and speak what God has placed on your heart, even when it's unpopular. The truth is, when you're truly anointed, you will offend some people. When you carry truth, it will convict. When you walk in real power, it will expose what is powerless. Not everyone will be comfortable with that. But you were never called to make people comfortable. You were called to set captives free. Jeremiah once said, "I tried to keep quiet, but it was like fire shut up in my bones." That's exactly what happens when you're anointed. You can't hold it in. The more you try to ignore it, the more it burns inside you. Some of you have been running from the very thing God has called you to do. You've tried to blend in, but the oil on your life won't let you. You've tried to stay silent, but the fire in you keeps pushing to be released. You've tried to do things your way, but God keeps calling you higher. And yes, I know, the burden feels heavy at times. It would be easier to live a normal life, to just go through the motions, to not care so deeply. But you weren't created for easy. You weren't anointed for comfort. You were called to carry His heart, to go where He sends you, and to do what He tells you to do. If that means standing alone, so be it. If it means losing people along the way, so be it. If it means being misunderstood, so be it. Because at the end of the day, when you stand before God, you will not be judged by man's opinions. You will be judged by your obedience. So don't run from the burden. Don't despise the weight of the calling. It's proof you've been chosen. It's proof you carry something heaven ordained. Let it push you deeper into prayer. Let it drive you closer to God. Because once you fully embrace it, once you say, yes, with everything inside you, nothing can stop what God is about to do through you. There comes a point when your vision changes. You start noticing what others overlook. You hear conversations, but your spirit picks up on something deeper. You walk into a situation, and before a single word is spoken, you already sense what's about to happen. That's not paranoia. That's not overthinking. That's the anointing. When you are dangerously anointed, God gives you insight others don't have. You begin to operate with divine awareness, prophetic discernment, and spiritual understanding that human logic can't explain. Some of you have wondered why you keep sensing things before they happen. Why you walk into a room and instantly feel the weight of unspoken pain. Why you've been having dreams, visions, or those unshakable, I just know, moments. It's because when you carry the anointing, God doesn't let you walk blindly. He reveals things. He whispers to your spirit. He gives you glimpses of what's ahead, warnings about what's coming and strategies to navigate situations others can't even see yet. And this is not ordinary. It's not to be taken lightly. When you're anointed, you don't just operate in natural wisdom, you move in supernatural wisdom. That's why people come to you for advice without even knowing why. That's why you can step into a place and instantly sense if something is off. That's why you sometimes feel burdened over things that haven't even happened yet, because God is showing you something in advance. But here's the thing, not everyone will understand. Not everyone will see what you see or hear what you hear. And that's okay, because when God speaks to you, He's not looking for a group vote. He's looking for your obedience. Some of you have tried to explain what God is showing you, only to be met with blank stares. They tell you you're overreacting, making something out of nothing. But hear me, you're not crazy. You're discerning. You're picking up on what others are blind to. Yes, it can be lonely. Yes, it can feel like a heavy responsibility, especially when you see what's coming but no one believes you. When God gives you a word but people dismiss it, it hurts. But you have to trust what He's showing you. You have to move when He speaks. You have to obey even if you're the only one who understands why. Remember, Noah looked foolish until the rain came. Joseph looked arrogant until the famine arrived. Elijah looked irrational until the fire fell from heaven. When God gives you insight, don't expect instant validation. Sometimes, people won't see it until it's already happened. By then, you'll already be walking in what God prepared you for. That's why you can't afford to ignore the voice of God. You can't afford. We just spoke about the importance of never ignoring the voice of God and the revelations He plants in your heart. Now, I want you to grasp this clearly. When God shows you something, it is never random, it always has a purpose. You cannot doubt what He is showing you. You cannot downplay the precious gift of discernment He has placed inside you. Because when you are anointed, God reveals things to you for a reason. Sometimes it's to warn you. Sometimes it's to prepare you. And sometimes, it's to call you to intercede, to stand in the gap, to shift the course of something before it ever takes place. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, your heart heavy for someone, without knowing why? That's not a coincidence. That's God calling you to pray. Have you ever felt an unshakable urgency about a situation? That's not anxiety. That's divine insight. Or maybe you've had dreams so vivid, so real, that you simply can't ignore them? That's not just your mind wandering. That's God revealing something to you. So here's the question, what will you do with what He's showing you? Because here's the truth. When God gives you insight, it comes with responsibility. You can't just sit on what He tells you. You can't ignore the warning signs. You can't assume someone else will take care of it. When God speaks, you must move. When He shows you something, you must act. When He gives you divine strategy, you must trust it, even when no one else understands. I know it can be hard. I know it can feel like a heavy weight. But remember, it's not a burden. It's an honor. God doesn't reveal deep truths to just anyone. He doesn't waste His voice on those unwilling to listen. If He's showing you something, it's because He trusts you. If He's giving you discernment, it's because He knows you will handle it well. If He's allowing you to see what others can't, it's because He's preparing you for something greater. So don't doubt it. Don't dismiss it. Don't second guess it. Walk in it. Trust it. Lean into it. Because when you are dangerously anointed, God will show you what others cannot see, and when He does, you must be ready to move. There will come a time when the attacks intensify, when the pressure increases, when even the people you thought would stand by you suddenly turn against you. You start to wonder, what did I do wrong? You start asking, why am I facing so much resistance? But understand this. It's not because you're failing, it's because you are anointed. When you carry the oil of God, you will attract opposition. When you are dangerously anointed, you will be misunderstood, misrepresented, even mistreated, not because of what you've done wrong, but because of what you're carrying. The enemy does not waste his time attacking the ordinary. He does not bother with those who are stagnant, who pose no threat to his kingdom. He targets those marked by God, those stepping into their divine assignment. And some of you, you've been under attack not because you are weak, but because you are powerful. The enemy sees your potential, your calling, your anointing, and he's terrified of what will happen when you fully step into it. So he's been trying to wear you down, to frustrate you, to discourage you, to make you question everything. But hear me, if the attack has increased, it's because you're getting closer. If the warfare has intensified, it's because you are standing on the brink of something significant. Look at David, before the oil. He was just a shepherd boy. But the moment the oil was poured on his head, the battle began. Before the oil, David was just a shepherd boy, quietly tending his flock in the fields. But the moment the oil ran down his head, Saul suddenly wanted him dead. Why? Because when God's anointing is on your life, you no longer get to remain hidden. That light is too bright to ignore, and even the enemy recognizes who you are before you do. The enemy sees the assignment God has placed on you. He knows the potential you carry, and he wants to stop you before you ever walk in the fullness of it. That's why so many of you have been facing battles that make no sense, unprovoked attacks, opposition that comes out of nowhere, betrayal from people you once thought were for you. It hurts, it's frustrating, it's confusing, but hear me. This is not a sign you're losing. It's proof you're carrying something dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. And the enemy is doing everything in his power to slow you down, silence you, and make you quit before you even truly start. But this is not the time to retreat. It's not the time to question whether you're truly called. This is the time to stand firm. Because if you weren't a threat, the enemy wouldn't be fighting this hard. If he wasn't terrified, he wouldn't be trying so desperately to take you out. So instead of letting the attacks discourage you, let them confirm what you already know. God's hand is on your life. And when his hand is on you, no weapon formed against you will prosper. I know, it's lonely. It feels unfair. You didn't ask for the jealousy, the betrayal, the false accusations. You didn't ask to be misunderstood. But remember, Jesus didn't either. He was anointed, yet rejected, chosen, yet betrayed, called, yet crucified. And in what looked like defeat, there was victory. In what seemed like the end, there was a new beginning. If Jesus had to go through it, why would you think you won't? When you are dangerously anointed, you will face resistance, but that resistance is proof you're on the right track. The attacks are not evidence of failure, they're evidence of your assignment. So stop trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. Stop trying to prove yourself to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. Don't let their opinions shape what you know God has spoken over your life. Because those who rejected you, those who laughed at you, those who doubted you, they will have to watch as God elevates you. They will witness what they tried to stop. They will see the favor of God on your life. And they won't be able to do anything about it. Just like Joseph's brothers had to come back and bow before him. Just like David's family had to watch him take the throne. Just like those who mocked Jesus had to witness his resurrection. What God has placed on you cannot be stolen. What he has declared over you cannot be undone. Don't let the attacks break you. Don't let the pressure silence you. Don't let the warfare make you back down. The enemy is fighting you because he knows he can't stop you. The opposition is increasing because you're stepping into something greater. The battle is raging because breakthrough is near. And if you just keep standing, keep believing, keep pressing forward, nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop what God has already set in motion in your life.